Look, I've been diving deep into the cosmos, exploring every corner of the universe, and let me tell you, every single exoplanet out there has something wild, something jaw-dropping, something that makes you stop and rethink everything you thought you knew about the universe. I've probably covered hundreds of these alien worlds, each one a cosmic puzzle with its own mind-bending quirks. Gas giants that rain molten iron, super-Earths with oceans of lava, worlds so bizarre they sound like they were ripped straight out of a sci-fi fever dream. And yet, in all my cosmic wanderings, I've never come across a single planet that didn't have at least one redeeming quality, one reason to make you go, "Whoa, that's insane," until now. Buckle up, because this is the story of the absolute worst exoplanet ever, a world so disappointing, so infuriating, so utterly pointless, that it's practically an insult to the universe itself. Its name? Orbiter. And trust me, it's even worse than it sounds. Before we dive into the cosmic dumpster fire that is Orbitar, let's get one thing straight. This planet is a mess, and not the fun, chaotic kind of mess, like a star-swallowing black hole, or a planet with glass rainstorms. No, Orbitar is a mess, because it might not even exist. That's right. There's a decent chance we've been hyping up a planet that's nothing more than a cosmic mirage, a ghost in the data. Scientists have been scratching their heads over this one, and the evidence suggests Orbitar could be a false alarm, a glitch caused by stellar noise masquerading as a planet. But wait, it gets weirder. There's also a slim possibility that instead of one non-existent planet, we're dealing with two non-existent planets, a pair of phantom worlds that somehow tricked us into thinking they're real. The most likely scenario, though, is that Orbitar is just a big fat nothing, a cosmic prank that somehow got an official name. And that, my friends, is where the real outrage begins. Let's rewind to 2015, when the International Astronomical Union decided to spice things up with a contest called Name Exo Worlds. The idea was simple. Let the public suggest names for exoplanets and their stars, give these distant worlds a bit of personality, and make astronomy feel accessible to everyone. Sounds awesome, right? Except it was a total disaster. The contest was like letting a toddler loose in a china shop. Rules were broken, names were botched, and somehow we ended up with Orbitar. This exoplanet, officially designated 42 Draconis b, orbits a star called 42 Draconis, which got renamed Fafnir in the same contest. Fafnir, by the way, is a Norse mythological dwarf who turned into a dragon, which is actually a pretty cool name. It fits the vibe of the Draco constellation, where this system lives, since Draco is Latin for dragon. So far, so good. But then we get to Orbitar, and everything falls apart. Here's the deal. The IAU has strict rules for naming exoplanets. Names have to mean something, they have to be culturally significant, and they have to follow a consistent theme for the entire star system. For example, the 55 Cancri system is named after early European astronomers and telescope makers, Copernicus, Galileo, Brahe. You get the idea. The Fafnir system, being in the Draco constellation, was supposed to follow a Norse mythology theme, specifically dragons and mythical beasts. There's no shortage of epic names to choose from. Think Jörmungandr, the world's serpent, Nidhugger, the dragon that gnaws at the roots of the world tree, or even Fenrir, the monstrous wolf destined to devour the gods. These are names that scream power, mystery, and cosmic grandeur. So what did they pick? Orbitar. Orbitar, a made-up word that sounds like a rejected Star Trek prop. slapped together to pay homage to the orbital operations of NASA. What does that even mean? It's like naming a planet Rocket McSpaceface and calling it a day. Let's break down why this name is such a galactic travesty. First off, the IAU explicitly states that contrived, made-up words are a no-go. It's literally written on their website. No inventing words out of thin air. Yet the people who proposed Orbitar admitted in their submission that it's a contrived word, created just for the contest. Strike one. Second, the name has to fit the system's theme. Norse mythological creatures. Orbitar isn't a dragon, a beast, or anything remotely tied to Norse mythology. It's not even a real word in any culture or language. Strike two. And finally, the name is supposed to have cultural significance, something that resonates with humanity's history or imagination. Orbitar has none of that. It's a hollow, meaningless syllable that evokes nothing but confusion and disappointment. Strike three. Somehow, despite breaking every rule in the book, Orbitar got approved. It's like the IAU was asleep at the wheel, and now we're stuck with this cosmic embarrassment. The wasted potential here is what really stings. Imagine if they'd gone with a name like Nidaga. Picture it. A massive gas giant orbiting a dying red giant star, named after a dragon that chews on the fabric of the universe itself. That's the kind of name that sparks curiosity, that makes you want to learn more about the planet and its place in the cosmos. Instead, we got Orbitar, a name so bland it could be the title of a spreadsheet. And it's not just that the name is bad, it's that it squanders the opportunity to make this planet memorable. Names matter. They're how we connect with the universe, how we make these distant worlds feel real and relatable. When you hear about a planet called Phobator, named after a Greek god of nightmares, you're instantly intrigued. But Orbitar, it sounds like a knockoff brand of dish soap. It's a name that actively works against the wonder of astronomy. Now you might be thinking, okay, the name's terrible, but maybe the planet itself is cool. Nope. Even if Orbitar does exist, and again, that's a big if, it's about as exciting as a lukewarm cup of coffee. Let's paint the picture of what Orbitar was thought to be, back when we believed it was real. It's a super Jupiter, a gas giant, with a minimum mass of 3.88 times that of Jupiter, orbiting Fafnir at a distance of 1.19 astronomical units, slightly farther than Earth is from the Sun. It takes 479 days to complete one orbit, and its path is a bit wonky, with an eccentricity of 0.38, meaning it swings closer and farther from its star in an elliptical dance. Fafnir itself is a K-type red giant, 9.49 billion years old, with a mass similar to the Sun, but a radius 22 times larger, and a luminosity 142 times brighter. It's also, fun fact, the northern pole star of Venus, thanks to Venus's weird axial tilt. That's kind of neat, right? You could have named the planet something Venus-inspired, like Venera or Aeneas, tying it to Roman mythology. But no, we got Orbitar. Here's the kicker. Orbitar isn't even unique. There are at least 6 other named exoplanets that are basically its cosmic cousins. Massive gas giants orbiting red giant stars, with orbits that take a few hundred days and varying degrees of eccentricity. Take Amateru, a planet orbiting the red giant Ain, with at least 7 Jupiter masses and a 585-day orbit. Or Hypatia, orbiting Aldebaran, with 11 Jupiter masses and a 510-day orbit. These planets are similar to Orbitar in almost every way, but they have one thing Orbitar doesn't. decent names. Amaterasu is named after the Shinto goddess of the sun, Hypatia after a Greek philosopher and poet. Even the disputed planets in this category, like Thestius, Spe, Arion, and Arcus, have better names, drawing from Greek mythology or Latin concepts like hope. Orbitar is the runt of the litter, the least interesting version of an already unremarkable type of planet. What makes this even more frustrating is that massive gas giants around red giants are actually pretty fascinating. These planets are survivors, clinging to their orbits as their stars balloon into fiery giants, swallowing inner planets and scorching anything too close. They're like cosmic warriors enduring the wrath of a dying star. But Orbitar? It's the most boring example of this type. It doesn't have any standout features, no extreme weather, no bizarre composition, no intriguing moons, at least none we know of. Even the claim that Orbitar's moons might be habitable, which popped up in some early reports, turned out to be a misattribution with no credible source to back it up. The planet's just there, doing nothing special, contributing nothing unique to our understanding of the universe. And to top it all off, it might not even be real. Let's talk about that non-existence thing again, because it's the cherry on top of this cosmic catastrophe. Orbitar was discovered using the radial velocity method, which detects the tiny wobbles a planet's gravity causes in its star's motion. But in 2021, a study threw a wrench into the whole thing, suggesting that what we thought was Orbitar might just be stellar noise, random fluctuations in Fafnir's atmosphere or magnetic activity that mimicked the signal of a planet. This kind of thing happens with red giants, whose complex interiors can play tricks on our instruments. The study couldn't rule out a two-planet solution, where two smaller worlds create the same wobble, but the most likely explanation is that Orbitar is a dud. We might have named a non-existent planet, which is honestly kind of hilarious, but also infuriating, at least when we accidentally named Dagon, another exoplanet from the same contest. It turned out to be a dust cloud, something tangible, even if it wasn't a planet. Orbitar might just be a mathematical error with a terrible name. This whole saga is a masterclass in missed opportunities. Imagine if Orbitar had been named something epic, like Jomungandr, and turned out to be a real planet with, say, a ring system the size of Saturn's, or a moon with liquid methane lakes. That's the kind of discovery that would have captured the world's imagination, inspired artists and writers, and maybe even gotten a few kids excited about astronomy. Instead, we got a maybe planet with a name that sounds like a typo. It's not just that Orbitar is disappointing, it's that it represents everything that can go wrong when we try to make science accessible, but end up cutting corners. The name ExoWorlds contest was supposed to bring people closer to the stars, but Orbitar feels like a betrayal of that promise. It's a reminder that even in the vast, awe-inspiring universe, we can still mess things up spectacularly. So why does this matter? Why get so worked up over one lousy exoplanet? Because names have power. They shape how we see the world, how we connect with ideas bigger than ourselves. A good name can make a distant planet feel like a place you could visit in your dreams, a world with stories waiting to be told. A bad name, like Orbitar, does the opposite. It makes the universe feel smaller, less magical, less worth exploring. And when you pair that with a planet that's probably not even real, you've got a recipe for cosmic disappointment. I've spent years talking about exoplanets, and I can honestly say I've never come across one that frustrated me more than this. Orbitar is the worst exoplanet ever, not because it's dangerous or extreme, but because it's a wasted chance, a cosmic letdown that never should have happened. If you're still with me, you're probably wondering if there's any hope for Orbitar. Could future observations redeem it? Maybe. If new data confirms it exists and maybe reveals something wild, like a moon with an atmosphere or a bizarre chemical makeup, it could climb a few spots on my list. But even then, that awful name would still drag it down. For now, Orbitar remains the bottom of the barrel, the exoplanet I love to hate. The universe is full of wonders, from planets with diamond rain to worlds orbiting dead stars, and I'll keep exploring them, one mind-blowing discovery at a time.